People are greatly influenced in life by the appearance they are born with. Even if they grow up in the same house, the cute daughter and the not-so-cute daughter receive completely different words, money, and everything else. From a young age, I was used to being compared to my pretty sister, being looked down upon, and her being favored. But I never expected to be treated like that by my family even after becoming an adult. My name is Mandy, and I am 25 years old. I have an older sister, Brooke, who is 2 years my senior. Unlike my cute sister, I am not considered beautiful, even with a favorable view. In societal terms, I am what you would call the less fortunate sister of the two. Now that I am an adult, I have come to accept myself as I am and have come to like myself. However, it took a lot of struggle to build this level of self-esteem. I started feeling there was some difference between my sister and myself when I was still a preschooler. As a young child, being small, I was often called cute. Yet, it was always Brooke who received the compliments. Even when our family went out, it was Brooke who caught the gaze of passers-by. "Oh, what a cute girl. What's her name?" My parents would always respond with, "Her name is Brooke," as if there was no other girl present. When we met friends of my mother, they would say, "Your older sister looks beautiful, just like you." Thank you. Unlike Brooke, Mandy doesn't resemble either my husband or me. It seems to be a case of skipping a generation from my husband's mother. I felt sad as a child when I saw my mother's gaze directed at me. After hearing such exchanges repeatedly, I naturally became ingrained with the notion that I was less attractive than my sister. As I entered elementary school and understood more, I felt an even greater sense of inferiority. Innocent comments from friends triggered excessive reactions in me. "Brooke is really cute, isn't she? She doesn't look like you at all, does she?" As Brooke continued to be pampered, she became aware of her own cuteness. "I'm like a princess, and Mandy is just like a servant." Brooke always acted superior and dumped unpleasant tasks on me, the younger sister. As time went on, she prioritized enjoyable things. When it came to choosing snacks or clothes, Brooke was always first. When it came to doing chores or other unpleasant tasks, it was always me. Even though we were sisters, our roles became like that of a lady and a servant. Moreover, compared to the outgoing and radiant Brooke, I was plain and modest. If only our parents had treated us equally, maybe things would have been a bit different for me. My mother, an expert in favoritism, loved beauty and beautiful things. That's why she adored Brooke, who resembled her. I chose a pink dress for Brooke because she's cute like me. "Oh, I picked a neutral gray dress for you, Mandy." When my mother bought clothes, she always chose cute designs for Brooke. I never received any girly items. At that time, I didn't understand what neutral meant, and when I asked my mother, she was troubled and stumbled over her words. I later looked up neutral in a dictionary and remember being shocked. Even my sister's outgrown clothes would end up as hand-me-downs for me. No matter how old, wearing the cute clothes I admired was something. Yet, my mother would scoff. "Pfft. Even though it's the same clothes, the image is completely different from Brooke's." From now on, I have to consider making Brooke wear plain clothes occasionally for hand-me-down purposes. Brooke, for her part, would say, "I can style simple clothes stylishly, too." Growing up in such an environment, I eventually came to feel like I was being called ugly every time Brooke was praised. Fortunately, my paternal grandmother was always kind to me. Although not a beauty, she was a very calm and intelligent woman. She always praised me. "Mandy, you are a very cute girl." But I had become self-deprecating and always regretted it. I don't have big eyes like Brooke, do I? My lips aren't pretty either. When I said this, my grandmother immediately comforted me. "Your eyes are very beautiful, Mandy, and so are your lips." I had always wanted someone to tell me these words. I burst into tears at her words. As my tears wouldn't stop, she gently stroked my head and continued. "True beauty is not just in appearance but also in the heart. Eyes that possess true beauty can see what is right. Lips that possess true beauty can speak words of love. Ears that possess true beauty can hear good words. Though I felt praised, I was still a child then and didn't fully understand the meaning. What do you mean? When I asked, my grandmother smiled softly. To those who can see, your beauty is evident. Those who fail to notice your beauty, perhaps, have poor hearts. I still vividly remember my grandmother's smiling face. Mandy, you understand people's hearts and you are very smart. In fact, I expect you to become a wonderful adult woman. But let's keep this between us and not tell your mom or Brooke. As she said this, my grandmother placed her index finger on my lips. Her finger, sealing my mouth, was like a magic wand, quickly revitalizing me. Thanks to my kind grandmother, I was able to see my own beauty and cherish myself. I worked hard in my studies and was always able to be honest with myself. As for Brooke, she became increasingly beautiful with age. When she entered middle school, she was confessed to by a large number of boys and even dated the most popular senior in school. It seemed that she was favored by the male teachers, and despite her poor academic performance, she always maintained a grade of A in subjects taught by male teachers. On the contrary, she scored a B or C in subjects taught by female teachers. Brooke likely covered her poor test scores with what could be called good behavior in terms of appearance. Consequently, Brooke, who lacked actual skills, failed her desired private high school entrance exam and had to settle for a local public high school with lower academic standards. 2 years later, I passed the entrance exam to the most prestigious private high school in the area. Brooke, who always believed she was superior in everything, made this sore loser remark to me. If we're talking about facial academic value, I'm still better. Inside, I muttered. Facial academic value declines with age, though. After graduating from high school, Brooke managed to slip into an office job at a dealership. Since most of the employees were men, she quickly became the darling of the workplace. Her popularity persisted even as an adult. She let male colleagues do her work, never got scolded even when she made mistakes, and grew up without ever correcting her selfish ways. Her salary wasn't particularly high, but thanks to men who lavished gifts on her, she had plenty of money to invest in herself. She spent most of her salary on clothes, bags, accessories, and beauty treatments. It was when Brooke was 27 that she showed me a marriage ring and said, "I've decided to get married." Considering it was Brooke, I expected a huge engagement ring, but it was of average size. In her early 20s, she had been adored by high-earning men, including doctors, lawyers, and CEOs of venture companies. However, my pampered and dependent sister wasn't chosen as a marriage partner by high-spec men. I thought it was right for her to marry a coworker from the same dealership at this stage. "Brooke, congratulations on your wedding." As I congratulated her, Brooke declared war. "Since your salary is higher than my husband's, I'm counting on you for various things." What? What does that mean? Am I supposed to lend her money when she's in trouble? Indeed, I passed the pharmacy university entrance exams and am currently working as a pharmacist. From Brooke's point of view, being a pharmacist must seem like a lucrative job. However, I am still a new member of society. Although I plan to move up in the future, I am not yet a high earner. Just as I was about to explain this about my income, Brooke threw out a shocking statement. "I'm getting married, right?" Before that, I was thinking of going to Cancun with the family. She declared a trip overseas with high spirits. Huh? Cancun? But I can't just take time off work suddenly. I muttered in a small voice, to which Brooke immediately responded. Huh? You don't have to go. I'll go with Dad and Mom. At that moment, a multitude of question marks bloomed in my mind. Apparently, when Brooke says family, she means Dad and Mom, and I, the sister, am not included. But that wasn't all. Brooke kept spouting unbelievable lines. "Since it's a family trip, we'll use your credit card to pay, so hand it over." Huh? I'm not going to Cancun, so why should I pay for the travel expenses? This was clearly unreasonable, and I objected. Without caring about my objections, Brooke continued. "You earn a lot, so stop being stingy and just hand over your card. As Brooke and I were arguing, my mother came home. Brooke immediately tattled to her. Mom, listen. Mandy won't pay for the trip to Cancun. Can you believe it? In astonishment, my mother faced Brooke's continued outburst. It's a family trip, but Mandy can't go because of work. So I thought we'd at least let her participate by covering the expenses. How insolent to refuse. I hoped my mother would finally scold Brooke for her outrageous remarks. However, the words that came from my mother were not what I expected. Mandy, you went on short-term study abroad every summer in high school, right? We sent you to university and spent a lot of money on you. Isn't it time to repay that favor? I was taken aback by this off-the-wall statement. Wait a minute. The money for the short-term study abroad was fully paid by my grandmother. And for university, I had a scholarship. I didn't burden my parents. In fact, didn't Brooke's beauty college cost more money? Despite my astonishment, Brooke snatched the credit card from my wallet. Stop dawdling and just lend it to me. Oh, wait, what are you doing? If you had just given it to me willingly from the start, maybe you would have been treated a bit more kindly. Maybe you should learn a bit more about how to be loved? Even my mother started to side with my sister. That's right, you're smart enough to calculate how much money you've cost, right? Just being good at studying won't get you anywhere in society. Thus, my family left for a week-long trip to Cancun using the credit card bearing my name, Mandy. The only souvenir they handed me upon their return was tequila bought with the card, which only fueled my anger even further. After returning, Brooke finally began preparing for her wedding. She loved fun activities like choosing the venue and the dress, and she was in high spirits throughout. However, Brooke's smile wouldn't last long. The spendthrift Brooke had no savings, and neither did her fiancé. They couldn't even prepare the bare minimum funds needed for a wedding. Naturally, Brooke turned to our mother. I need money for my wedding. It's your eldest daughter's wedding, so you'll give me $20,000, right? It seemed she planned to receive financial support from both their families. I'd love to give it to you, but we just don't have that kind of money. My mother faltered in her words. Just before my sister's engagement, we had just remodeled our family home and replaced the car. It was sudden when I heard about your wedding. If I had known beforehand. Then Brooke shrieked. Are you saying it's my fault? Isn't it shameful as a parent not to be able to prepare your daughter's wedding funds? As far as I'm concerned, lack of planning is a trait they both share. High aesthetic sense is fine, but as someone who has seen her spending habits up close, it seemed only natural that she had no savings. Then, both my mother and Brooke turned to me. Mandy, you have money, right? We need $20,000. Exactly the scenario I feared. I responded, my voice trembling. I have student loan repayments, I can't afford it. Mom says she paid for my education, but that was a scholarship. I'm repaying it myself. My mother retorted breathlessly. But, I paid for your short-term study abroad when you were in high school. That was Grandma who helped with the short-term study abroad costs, not you. And I'm still paying her back little by little. Suddenly, as if struck by an idea, my mother called Father. Oh, hello honey? It's me. Your mother used to pay for Mandy's study abroad, remember? Brooke never studied abroad, so now it's Brooke's turn, right? Your mother will help with the wedding funds for her granddaughter, won't she? A while later, my grandmother, who lives on the same property, came over. Brooke, are you getting married? Congratulations. Grandmother's first words were congratulations to Brooke. Thank you, Grandma. Yes, I'm getting married. But we don't have enough funds for the wedding, and Mom says there are no savings. Brooke's tears welled up slightly, and my mother backed her up. It was all so sudden. We're embarrassed to say we couldn't prepare the wedding funds. No wedding funds? That's troubling. After hearing their reasoning, my grandmother slowly responded. I've saved a little for my grandchildren's weddings. I even do some stock investing. If you'd like, you can use it. Brooke, ever the opportunist, said. As expected of Grandma. I knew I could count on you. Since you paid for Mandy's short-term study fees, it's only natural to be fair to your grandchildren. I knew you would prepare for the wedding funds too. My mother looked pleased as Brooke chimed in. After all, everything should be fair, right? I was disillusioned by their attitude, but I couldn't object to my respected grandmother's decision. Eventually, my grandmother pulled a slightly thick envelope from her bag. This is my gift to you, Brooke. Brooke's eyes sparkled as she took the envelope. When she checked its contents right there, her eyebrows shot up and she exclaimed loudly. What? What is this? There's no money in here. In Brooke's hand, outraged by deceit, was not cash but a statement of some sort. My grandmother chuckled and responded. No, there's no money in it. There couldn't be. My mother retorted sharply. You gave money to Mandy, but what is this joke? Don't you feel sorry for Brooke? Aren't all grandchildren treated equally? Is this what you do as a grandmother? Then, my grandmother's gentle face slowly turned demonic in slow motion. She glared at my mother and retorted. Equally, you say? Your idea of equality is to exclude only Mandy from a family trip and make her pay? If that's what you call equal, then I won't provide Brooke with any wedding funds either. My mother furrowed her brows and fell silent. You asked if I'm still a grandmother. I want to ask you back, are you even parents? Are you even a sister? I saved equally for my grandchildren's wedding funds. Then give me those wedding funds. At Brooke's words, my grandmother glared at her, snatched the statement from her hand, and spread it out in front of her. Brooke, look at this closely. This is your wedding fund. It was a credit card statement. It recorded the expenses for the Cancun trip, including travel costs, meals, and shopping, all clearly itemized. The card pulled from my wallet on that day was a family card my grandmother had made for me. The lavish spending by my sister and others was essentially paid by her. I explained the trick. As for this card, my grandma gave it to me to carry as a charm. When the card was taken, I consulted her, and she said, "It's okay." In response, my grandmother laughed heartily. In other words, Brooke's wedding funds were already delivered. It's pitiful, isn't it? Even her mother joined in, spending the wedding funds on a trip to Cancun before the wedding. My mother awkwardly shrugged her shoulders, but Brooke, still unsatisfied, glared at our grandmother. Despite the fact that she had received the money. That's terrible. You always favor Mandy. You don't care about my wedding at all, Grandma. At Brooke's words, grandmother finally scolded her. Wake up. Who has been favored here? Mandy has endured far more favoritism than you have. Why don't you consider your sister's feelings for once? Struck by her thunder, Brooke finally burst into tears. Later, failing to gather the wedding funds, the capricious Brooke quarreled with her fiancé, and the marriage talks quickly broke off. Having resigned to get married, Brooke couldn't return to her former workplace with her ex-fiancé. Now unemployed, living a life solely based on looks is about to rapidly depreciate. I can only hope that she becomes a person who understands the pain of others after repeating unpleasant experiences. As for me, this incident motivated me to move out. Now, I live alone on my income. The space without my sister and mother is truly comfortable. Nowadays, I'm learning investment skills from my grandmother, and my savings are gradually increasing. My grandmother, planning her retirement with her own earned money, is incredibly cool. Like her, I aspire to be a wonderful adult who can stand on my own 2 feet.